Okay, thank you everybody for joining today. And thank you, Anton, for making the way here to the conference. Hope you're doing good from A-Steroids.
Oh yeah.
And you're talking today about. You go?
I can start talking. Okay.
Yeah,
I
you
will
can.
talking about very unusual thing. We call it a framework, and we name it Haxi/Cocos 2D. Probably some of you know there is a framework called Haxi/OpenFL, and this presentation is not about this one, about its evolution. So first, I will start from the beginning. Nearly a year ago, our studio decided that we need to do the game of all the times for our studio. And we are mobile studio, and all our games was focused on mobile world, and we decided to go to social and to add some web to the game, and very unusual setting for us. And this. And we need to develop. We decided to develop a game that is really multi-platform, and it will run on iOS, Android. It will run in Facebook, Contact, and other social things, standalone web, and probably if the game fires the market, it will go to desktops, PC, Mac, etc., etc., etc. And sounds pretty cool and pretty challenging, but there always is a but. And the main thing is, when you are a player, you probably own an Android or iPhone, and you just play on it. And your friends maybe have iOS or Android too. Probably some of you has a tablet, but when you are a developer and you develop your game, you have to support all the platforms as a whole. And it is I think most of you know that it is a very tricky thing. And the main thing here is developers. Because you have to find a guy who is very good at, I don't know, C++ and iOS and Android. You need to find a guy who knows some JavaScript or Flash or something to go on web. And you need to find a lot of guys who know something about each platform. And it is very tricky part, and for not so big studio, it can be pretty challenging and doesn't sound cheap. Okay, we thought about it and understand that we need to find a way to develop our game in a single code base with limited number of required development skills, and it should run everywhere somehow. And the first thing that came into our minds, and it was summer of 2015, it was of course Unity. Sorry, but Google said that not an option, because you know I can't command this situation, and we were scary about it because probably it was only Google, but maybe Mozilla, Microsoft will say bye-bye to Unity Web Player 2, and we can't. So we will not go to mobile, or not mobile web if we stick on Unity. So we had to think about another options, and of course it sounded very weird, but there was another technology that can give us multi-platform, cross-platform. It was Adobe Air and Flash, but we are still now waiting for Flash to die, and probably we don't want to release our game just after the Flash has died. So doesn't look like an option too. Then we investigated lots of other frameworks. There are really lots of them. Marmalade, lots of C++ stuff around C++, because C++ is really cross-platform. It was Qt, and we saw that probably we can write a version of our game to mobile and another version for web. But there were no ideas of how to do this with a single code base, and I understand that it can be really risky and not cheap for us, and we understood that okay, we need to find a way to handle this. So probably we need to go a little bit wild and take some new things from dark corners of the programming universe. And there was a very interesting framework called Haxi/OpenFL. So Haxi is a very strange language where you write down the code and it transforms to the native programming languages, and then you need to compile it to target platform. So you can go multi-platform with this language, and you can use it on top of OpenFL. It's an engine library. It's open Flash. So some people who don't want for Flash to die, they made a fork and with standard APIs. And with this combination, they give you an opportunity to write a game or applications that can run nearly everywhere. But it is a very new framework, new world, no documentation, and we didn't want to risk. So probably we think that we need to go from the heaven to more to the ground and use some common things, like, for example, Kakos 2D. They claim to be the world's famous gaming framework for 2D games, and probably we can use them. And they claim that they can run on really very big amount of platforms, including mobile, web. They have WebGL, HTML5 target, and even they can run on desktops. Really looks nice. But again, it was the summer of 2015. Lots of uncertainties because we don't know how Unity will deal with this web player. Unreal Engine started to go to mobile market. They claimed that by the previous autumn, they will release HTML5 target. We thought that Unity will probably, I don't know, collaborate with Google and other browsers to fix these problems, to tune browsers, to tune Unity to make them run. Probably they will release HTML5 target by the end of 2015. And we need to release what nearly right now. And we can't afford lots of uncertainties. And lots of people talks on the internet said that HTML5 the previous summer it sucked well. And nobody believed that this target will be usable in the near future. So, yes, and if we go to JavaScript, to HTML and WebGL, our sources of our game will be open to everybody, so lots of people can just understand what is going on, find some workarounds to give them free gold or something, and another challenge for us. And we thought about it and understood that we need to make a logical, calm decision. And we found this decision. We decided to go really wild because so changing the world, lots of uncertainties, let's try. And we decided to take everything from each world, take the best things from each world and combine it in-house. We call sometimes this sandwich, sometimes we call it vinaigrette. So we made up a new framework, new technology to develop mobile games, mobile applications. So we used this Huxley language because it can be translated to any target language: C++, Java, JavaScript, Ruby, Python, C#, whatever. And then we can make this run on top of Kakos 2D, and this will give us an opportunity to develop software for iOS, Android, HTML5, desktop, Mac, and etc., etc. And we took some rather standard things. Spine for animations, Java for the server side, and some strange languages like Ruby, Groovy. It was Python. It was a new day, new technology emerged in our Vinaigrette. Why? You know, it was rather difficult to combine all this into one finished technology. And the main thing, if you develop games, you need to integrate game designers, artists, and developers into one process. And they need to. You don't want to disturb your developers to do some art or game balance tuning. So you need to have some set of tools, editors like, for example, Unreal and Unity gives to you. And no way. Even to make things even worse, we understood that Kakos UI framework didn't suit our needs, and we need to port from our other games, our in-house UI framework, and so we threw away every Kakos editor and tools that were developed by the time. And there were a few other issues with all this stack. Poor particle systems. We can't do very shiny and super cool visual effects out of the box. And this Spine runtime, it was rather outdated and had not a lot of, but quite a few bugs. And it was missing some features that we needed to do our game shiny. But okay, we spent some time to overcome all of this, and few of our developers spent some time developing all these tools, at least the minimum set of tools to help designers in the whole process to implement this game. So there are some samples of these tools that were developed. It's just we just took our game as an engine, patched it in somehow, and gave designers and artists access to these under-the-hood features, and to test animations, to understand how it works, to do some simple tuning for developers and UI developers. We gave a chance to rapidly see the changes. So no busy week, no very convenient ways to do these common things at the maximum performance, but it is much better than nothing. And we saved lots of working hours by just implementing this simple set of tools. Finally, we polished all this vinaigrette into one framework, and this framework had a very big strength. First of all, it was open source. So we didn't care about any bugs that were in Kakos runtime, in Spine runtime. Poor particles, we don't care. Some, I don't know, visual artifacts while rendering on iPad and no visual artifacts while rendering on web. Okay, we don't care, we will debug it, we'll find sources, we will patch it, we are smart enough to do this. Then the second thing was this Huxley language. We developed all our game logic on this language, and then it translated to JavaScript to run on client, and we translated it to Java to run on the server. So we achieved very interesting goal. First of all, we can hire a developer who just is smart enough to understand this Huxley language. It looks like ActionScript, and ActionScript looks like JavaScript. JavaScript looks like Java. So we can hire nearly everyone who wants to develop games and who has basic understanding of what is going on in programming world. And then we can give to this developer any task from client, from server, from client-server integration. No separation by skills or other things. And there is another interesting feature that emerged when using this framework is outdated and multiple client versions, because by having this Huxley core of our game, we can when we develop a new version of a client, we don't throw away the previous one, and so we can simultaneously run game logic from version 1, from version 2, from version 3. Just look at the client version that is coming to our server and understand what runtime we should use, and just do this. And no special time, special effort to implement this feature. Just start using it. It was a culmination. And yes, there was some few drawbacks, because in-app purchases, for example, analytics systems, OpenGL rendering on native and on web, we had to implement this small piece of software for each platform, sometimes only for iOS, sometimes only for Android, sometimes only for web. But if you look at the project as a whole, and we have been developing it for nearly 10 months. So when you need to implement in-app purchases for each platform, it's just a drop of water in an ocean. So we understood that it looks like we managed to find a way to go through the dark times of lots of uncertainties. And next week, our public beta of our game is hitting the market. While other people who, for example, use Unity or Unreal, they are waiting for Mozilla and other guys to implement WebAssembly to split their build size, their build into small pieces. They are struggling with HTML5 WebGL support in these engines to do some tuning optimizations to make them run on web platform, to give some performance optimization on mobile. We are going public beta next week, and it just works. And if we have any problems, it's open source. We download codes. We know all the source right now. We had to learn it, and our game, it's written on this slide. If you zip it, it's 500 kilobytes. 500 kilobytes cross-platform game. It's not 3D, yes, it's 2D, but it's rather modern, rather shiny, rather beautiful, and it does a lot of interesting stuff. And it is running even on Java on the server side without UI. 500 kilobytes, I think it's very cool. I think that's all. And if you have any questions, I'm ready.
Thank you, Anton. I must say it was a very technical topic which you had, but your slides, they're amazing. I was like, so guys, even though if you're not so technical into that, copy his style of slides, because
that's how we work.
It's beautiful, very beautiful. If your game just looks a little bit similar like these slides, I think your public beta
there are
will.
some screenshots. For example, this screenshot is from our game. So
Perfect.
Yes.
No, yeah, big applause for Anton. And yeah, any questions? As I said, very technical.
Ah,
So
no, there is one.
there we go.
I hope so.
I have a question about how was debugging the hacks code when it was translated to other languages?
I don't want to answer this question because, you know, at the first time when we understood that we need to debug this, it was I will not say this word, but you know, we can transform Haxi code to, for example, Java, and there is no issues with debugging. When you translate it to JavaScript, for example, it's pretty understandable, and you can do this using IntelliJ IDEA debugger or Chrome debugger or etc. etc. So it is a little bit a tricky part, but really rather easy, rather easy. And of course, unit tests, testing and testing and testing, automated.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you again, Anton. And now we're waiting for Elvina Antonova from Fox 3D starting to prepare. I think we have like 5 minutes between, so